couple of different parts of this problem. One thing is you basically want to identify like what needs to be hard coded, and then what is dynamic, right? Which I helped with. And as we know, right, like we're going to have to use this not just for instances of like each user instance, but so not just instances of the same class, but instances of different classes, right? So let's start with the string. So what I did was I'm still returning this string right here, even though it's not going to execute the code. It can just give me through that first step. So let's try to go there. I have this Python 3-i console.py, and we want to save an object, and we'll just see where we are, right? That's a good idea. So we'll save Chipotle and see what that does for us. Actually, we'll save this one, Bob. Cool. So we have insert into users, name, birthday. So what we need to do now, if I'm gonna try to figure this out, right? If I want to really isolate this problem, what we can do is we can just kind of create a string, and just think about like where we are and where we need to go. So we have this object, and we can start with thunderdict. Not object, Bob. So we have these keys. We could use this, right, and just say insert into. If we have these values, it's like, well, how do we get from here down to here? This seems easier, right? Like we could just probably do .keys here to get the keys, and then that will give me. I'll just do this real fast. So this is my object dict. I'll do object dict .keys, and now from here we would like to join this because ultimately we want to get to here, right? So we would like to join this. I don't know that you can join a dict keys object. We might have to convert this to a list, but we'll see. Oh, we can do it. Okay. So we can just, if we wanted to, one way to do this would be to like generate, and I don't know that this will work super well, but we can say, let's take this object dict, so that's obj dot thunderdict to get the dictionary dot keys, and now these will be my like column names, and you can just and that will return to me like name, birthday, and now we can interpolate that here. We'll do this not like that. What am I doing? We call it column names. So let's just look at this, right? We take the object, we find these like key value attributes. That's this thing right here. Then from there, we get the keys. So now we have these two, and now we have to turn the list into a string of name, birthday. And so once you I think the key part, and we'll show a different one in a second, but the key part is like, here's the input, here's the output. Like once you put these two things in front of you, then just hack away. Or review working with data structures in Python. So the other way that we can do this is we have this, and this is probably better, is we have like SAM. We should just do SAM.columns, right? And now this problem's even easier because it's the same thing. Once we call .keys, we're here. So we can do SAM.columns and now just join on this. So we can just copy this code here. Right? And it shouldn't be SAM.columns, right? Because you're passing through an object. So now we have obj.columns. This generates the strings. And then we should be good, right? Let's find out. So we'll exit out of here. We'll do Python 3-i. We'll pass through, we'll do save SAM. That looks good. right? And then let's try it on venue. Not venue, Chipotle. Yeah, name, right? So this also looks good. It's also kind of an edge case, right? Only one column. So it's good to see that it works with that. Okay. How does that feel? Right? All we did, we get the object, we called out columns. This gives us a list. That comes from here, right? And then we have this list, we just join these attributes together. Questions about this? All right. Next one, these percentage S's. Okay, so remember, like, this should feel, to me, what we want to do is we want to percentage S for each column. Like, you're almost already saying it, right? For another way to put this is, like, for every column, for each column in list of columns, return percentage S. Right? So we can probably do this with list comprehension. So Chipotle.columns, right? For column in Chipotle.columns, return percentage S. But this also works for, we can just check it for our user. Not user, Sam. Okay? So this is looking good. The only difference is we want this to be a string, right? So it's the same exact thing. Now I want to take these guys. So I'll call these like my percent S's. I don't love it. And then join this together. Something like that. Yeah, that looks good, right? So this procedure, what do? We get the list of columns for each object, for the object, and then for each of them we say we want a percentage S. So remember, like, this is our classic like map problem, right? For each value, we want the same number of values. We want the same number of values in a column. We just want it modified, and the way we want it modified is we want it like to kind of replace with this percentage S. Okay. So same number of values as we start with, same number of percentage S's as our columns. We just want to change it. So this is like our mapping problem. All right, so let's copy this. And these are my percentage S's. And remember, once we get that, we then need to join it. So we can just combine it in one line. All right, and then just replace this with percent %S. And we also need to interpret it, right? Cool. Then we execute the string, and we need to generate the tuple. Oh, David, go ahead.
Yeah, why did in your list comprehension, why did the percent %S need to be passed through as a string? Isn't it once you insert it into like insert string variable, isn't it already within a string?
You mean, like, why do I have to go from
like in your percent %S equals, like, where you assign the list comprehension, you have the percent %S.
Well, this is part of.
Yeah.
Which line should I look at?
Yeah, line 15, and then your percent %S in the list comprehension. Why is it wrapped? Like, why is it a string?
Well, if I just write percent %S, I don't know what this is. Like, this right? Like, yeah, like this isn't a data type.
I thought once you inserted it into the insert string, it's already. Okay, yeah, never mind.
Yeah, so it has to, like, at each step. So at this step too, right? We need this to each be a string. And now this gives me a list, so then we have to turn this into the comma separated list. All right, and then here we need to generate a tuple, right? A tuple of the values. This might also work with just like a list of the values, so we can play with that and see. I'm not sure, honestly, but let's try it. So I'm gonna put back my connection.commit, and we'll work with like Sam. So we have Sam. We can do Sam dot, where is this information? It's on the dunder dict thing, and then do dot values. And then let's just turn this into a list for safekeeping, right? And like I said, maybe it's better just to turn this into a tuple if we can spell it. Yeah, that's probably better. I want to check to make sure this works with it should, but with one, when we only have one column as well. So that would be Chipotle. Yeah, that looks fine, right? This looks fine. This looks fine. So when I'm inserting in a venue, right, this is my value, just the venue name. When I'm inserting in a user, this is the value, right, the tuple. It's this data. So we just pull out that data. So this is a first, so what we have to just copy and paste this in here. So it's this is the line of code essentially. We just need to change this to the object, and then do like values equal tuple. So get the dictionary kind of attributes, pull out the values, turn the dict values object, wherever it is, this thing, into a tuple. So that's what we do here. And then we want to just place it here. All right, and now we test it, I think. Yeah, it looks fine. Okay, so we'll run the Python 3. So also notice the approach was we just hacked away at it inside the console.py. Like we have the data already set up there, and we just can run -i and just take each of these steps in turn. All right. So now what do we want to do? We want to basically just call my save method with these things. So with Sam, and it breaks console.py can't adapt type wrapper descriptor. That's weird. Let's see where that is. Line 18. So it's in this execute, which means this is the string. This is the values. It makes me feel like something in this is possibly breaking. Yeah, Kayla?
Your object is called obj.
True. Thank you.
No problem.
Let's see if we could have... Is there any hint here? I guess the fact that this is blue means it's like a keyword, right? You can see that with this tuple here. It's also a keyword. So, yeah, so it didn't give me the squiggly line. That would have been ideal. But, yeah, now it lines up. Great. That was confusing, right? Because the error didn't occur until here, right? When we actually executed it, but really it was in this line. That would have been hard. Okay, so save Sam. What are we returning? I guess it worked. We are committing, and then I don't know why we're returning that. But let's just see. Yeah, go ahead, Sonia.
In your line 15 in your %s, you are saying in SAM columns instead of object columns.
Oh, okay. That's a problem, right? Let's take a close. Let's read through this. Column names. Take the object columns, and then do so we get back each of the columns from an object, and then turn it into a string. Here now we're doing the same thing, but change each one into a %s. Here now we do object.dunderdict values to get the values associated with it that we'll put down here. Now this looks fine, right? I want to check this. This looks good. All right, well, let's hope. And let's stop returning this. Instead, what's a better thing to return? It would be the last... It would be something... We'll do it in a second. We just won't return anything from now. Cool. So we have Sam. We'll call save on Sam. And now how will we check that this worked? We have our cursor object. So cursor.execute. Select star from users, and then cursor.fetch 1. Oh, not like that. I want to do order by ID from the high number to the low number, so descending, something like that. And you could just do limit 1 if you want, and then do cursor dot fetch 1. And there's Sam. Okay. And then let's also try it with the other guy. So we'll try it with saving Chipotle. And then we'll do this, but instead of users, we'll do venues. And then same thing, cursor dot fetch 1, and we get back Chipotle. So both of them save. Exactly. So one last thing, it's like if we're doing this to kind of check the feedback, I would just like, it's like, how can we make this dynamic? It shouldn't be that hard. Like, maybe we can figure it out. After we save this, think about what we want to return. Select star from, right? Select star from the table, right? The relevant table. Order by ID. Every table should have an ID. Yeah. And then just turn this into an F string. It should be good. And then return the last guy. Okay? So that looks pretty good. This way we can get feedback when we save. Python doesn't always, like libraries in Python won't always do something like that, but I like to. Okay. So questions about this so far, and then I can just show you problems with it. Yeah, Bryn.
So, so I don't know if you would rather save this question for another time, but what if you input the class instead of an object?
So you do save like user, something like that. You call save this.
Hold on. In order to find all of the objects in a class.
Okay.
Is there a difference because then we would want to find the class table.
Mm-hmm.
Is that different when you call things on a class instead of an object in terms of where it's pulling from, or are there any like
Not really, like classes themselves are just objects. So if you think about it, like the process is kind of the same. If you want to write a method called like find all, well, like you start with this SQL query. And then just think about like what if I also, this works if I'm just passing through like a user. Last time you'll do this, you'll call it this way. But this works if I'm just passing through a user, like I do like, right? That works fine. But then of course, what if I like pass through a venue? So how do you generate this? Like how do you generate this string to be dynamic? We kind of saw it, right? It's just this word. Yeah, and then the rest should be the same. One sec. So, oh, Serge, go ahead.
I can't think of this case, but what if there were attributes both at the like instance level and the class level that have the same name? And I mean, I can't really think.
Yeah, you would. I mean, you're in
case.
charge, So like you would correct for that, because remember what would happen is the instance level, like if you have Sam, and then you do the under table, it returns the class attribute. But if you do this, and now you do this, Python will first look for this attribute on the instance, find it, and then won't look for it on the class, right? So it still exists on user. It just never gets there. Does that make sense? Like this is called like I guess attribute lookup, or in lots of places like method lookup. Like it will first look for the attribute on the instance, find it, and it's good. In the case it doesn't find it, then it looks for it on the class. All right. Yeah, so the other thing I wanted to just talk about was like you'll see in the reading, like we do this differently. Like even though besides the fact that we split this into functions, the reason why, like let's say we do, especially needs to be, well, one, like the column names, I think that's fine. The issue is really like these values here, because these values like have to line up with the columns, right? It has to be like, I'm losing my voice, but it has to be that I have name birthday in the same order as so I have like Bob, comma 8/28, right? These have to line up, because when I do this insert into, it's column names values and then pass through the values here, it assumes they're in the same order. So how do you do that? I'll code it. I don't know if I can say it. We'll see. So we'll do save, and then we'll pass through Sam. All right, and we're right here. So we know that we have these columns, right? Sam.columns. If I want to make sure I always get back the values in the same order, I can do for column in Sam.columns, right? For name, comma, birthday, access Sam.dunderdict. I think it's this. Yeah, access, this returns me a dictionary, square bracket, the column name. So in other words, let's see if that works. So you see how this lines up? Why does this work? So we start with this Sam, and then we go through each of the columns. So we have columns of like name, comma, birthday. And then we go through each one of them. And we pull out, this thing gives me back a dictionary.
Awesome. Have a great time.
Right. And then I'll just have name Sam, and then I'll just pull out name the first time and then birthday the second one, which will give me Sam, comma, his birthday. So this is the code, right? This ensures that the order of the values will always line up to the order of the column. So I'm just using the column to pull out the value one by one. So this should be, so the main thing to change is actually this values. It should be for each column in object columns. Do that. We'll make sure. And I'll just put this down here. Oops. So we're right here. So just a look, you can see the insert string. It's called, it should be there. Oh, I have to save it. No, it should be called this, right? Oh, I'm in this breakpoint first. So we'll just put continue. All right, now we're in this breakpoint. So now I can do insert string. So we'll look at that. That looks good. And then these values should be the same, right? Should be the name and birthday values. Cool. We got it from this. All right. I'll deploy the rest of the readings and let you all move through.